It's my honor to introduce the 2017 winner, Nyren. Neil is the Executive Vice President, Associate Publisher, and Editor-in-Chief of G.P. Putnam Sons, and he's a legend. 7 years ago, as we were negotiating, my agent and I, a new book contract, we kind of came to an impasse, and it was very stressful, as most people here know. And my agent decided to reach for the moon and stars, and she requested that we work with Neil. And once he accepted, the impasse was over, and it's been a great time. Neil is, he's never wrong as an editor. His instincts are always right on. His experience is unbelievably helpful. He's witty, gentlemanly, and firm. He's like the head wrangler of the New York Times best-selling ranch at Putnam. And rather than me go on and on, I wanted to, I reached out to several of Neil's writers and asked them for small anecdotes. Owen Laukkanen said, I first heard Neil Nyren's name a few hours before he was to call me to talk about publishing my debut. I promptly Googled him and his list of authors and spent the next 3 hours scared out of my gourd. And then when he called, he was the Neil we all know, kind, humble, funny, and astute, a remarkable editor and a wonderful human being in his quiet, generous, sometimes sassy way. He's made me a better writer by miles, and in doing so, he's quite literally made my dreams come true. Ace Atkins. All I know is that I had a full head of hair and never drank until I met Neil Nyren. My career went up and my overall appearance went down. Coincidence? I have written extensively about bluesman Robert Parker's deal at the crossroads, some dark stuff at work. That's all I can legally say. John Sanford. Neil may know more than anyone else on the face of the earth about what should and shouldn't be in a thriller novel. For example, I once put in something I shouldn't have, and he said, quote, I didn't like this nearly as much as I expected to. After I stopped bleeding, I changed it and it was better. This has been my practice for almost 30 years. Randy Wayne White. Neil Nyren is Oz, and the only blessed reason I wasn't booted out of the Emerald City 22 years ago. As to the effing wicked witch, I will not discuss Amazon on this happy occasion. That's Randy. Jonathan Kellerman. How nice to see a good guy win. Neil is brilliant, is a brilliant, insightful editor, a witty gentleman, and a total mensch. He believed in me back in 1985 and changed my life. He is what publishing should be about. Best wishes, Neil. Dave Barry. I owe my career to Neil Nyren. The first manuscript I sent him was a highly technical treatise on thermodynamics. It needs more booger jokes, Neil said. Also, it should be in English. At the time, I was writing in Albanian. The man is a genius. Then W.E.B. Griffin and William E. Butterworth IV. Neil Nyren is the rarest of rare editors. When he tells you something needs changing, he says it not because of ego, but simply because the change will make for a better book. He is the invisible hand, a tremendous talent that has produced an incredible list of bestsellers. Recognizing Neil with this award is fitting and just. Yet, as Niccolo Machiavelli noted, it's not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles. Congratulations, Neil, and thank you. Come on up. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Chuck. If I see the guy you just described, I'll send him over to the table. Look, in many ways, the reason I'm getting this award tonight goes back to when I was 8 years old. I was in bed with a bad cold and sneezing and aching and bored out of my mind. My father came in and gave me a book. It was the Hardy Boys, The Secret of Skull Mountain. All right? So after that, I was gone, and I was a fan. I have spent most of my life with crime and suspense fiction, first as a fan and then as an editor and a publisher. It has given me countless hours of joy. It has let me meet many of my heroes and even work with some of them. It has allowed me to find new voices and new stories and go running around the office and into the street, shoving them into people's hands and saying, you gotta read this guy. I've been a pretty lucky guy. Now, when I go to writers' conferences, I'm often asked what I look for in a novel, and I give them all the usual things you'd expect, but then I usually say, and then I look for something extra, something that makes the hair in the back of my neck stand up. And I'm happy to say that you guys have been making the hair in the back of my neck, what's left of it, stand up for nearly 50 years in publishing. So I want to thank the Mystery Writers of America for this award. I am proud to say I am a member of the MWA. I want to thank all of my authors who have made coming into work every day such a pleasure, usually. I want to thank my wife, of course, who's been my partner in crime throughout all of this. And finally, I want to thank all the writers in this room. You are doing God's work. Thank you.